everyone, Kamina the coach here. Whoa, that was a little high. Hi everyone, Kamina the coach here. I'm just feeling good today. It's very interesting since I've started my journey to find my first family and begun coming out of the fog. I'm feeling very bipolarish. So I have some really high highs combined with some really scary low lows. But thank goodness I'm out of like the place where I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it or not. So I'm 100% sure I'm gonna make it now. I'm really back to that place of knowing that this too shall pass, of knowing that life is what I choose it for it to be. That as esoteric and heady as it sounds, everything really did happen for a reason. And you guys are my reason. So even if this only reaches one person that needs to hear it, this is my purpose. And I feel very blessed in knowing my purpose, because a lot of people feel very lost in life because they just don't know what they're here for. So personally, I believe all of us are here to seek knowledge, to love and be loved. And this is my way of loving. My gift is my interpersonal skills, making people feel comfortable, being able to be authentic and real, and making people feel loved and cared for. And that's my gift, and I'm very happy to share it with you. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing your love with me. So this is a really heavy video. This video is about why I'm just now choosing to come out of the fog, why I'm just now choosing to search for my birth family. If you are not an adoptee, so when we talk about, I'm sorry, I have a fan that's on really high and it's just too loud. That's better. So if you're not an adoptee, coming out of the fog, so what fog is for us is that that colonial patriarchal idea that adoption is all flowers and roses and butterflies and it's just so wonderful. And anytime anyone ever talks about adoption, it's just how wonderful. Now granted, not all adoptees have bad adoption experiences, but even those adoptees that don't have bad adoption experiences are at a much higher risk for mental health problems. We are at adoptees only make up 2 to 3% of the population, but we're 15% more likely to go to prison or have legal issues. We're 15% more likely to have mental health issues. We're 15% more likely to kill our parents. Yeah, it's really crazy. 15% of all known serial killers were adoptees. So if that's not a sign to you that there's a problem with adoption, I don't know what else what I could do to express this to you. There is actual journal studies. There have been scientific studies that prove this. You know that if you watch my channel at all, you know that I don't talk about things that are not founded in science. So what I'm talking about is not just purely my emotions. Yes, some people have good experiences, but even the people who have good experiences are at a higher risk for problems. And we're not going to go into what that is right now because that's not what this video is about. This video is about why at 42 I'm just now beginning to come to this realization, why I'm just now beginning my search for my first family. So I am in the adoptee world what we call a TRA, transracial adoptee. I was adopted by a family of a different race. I am a BIRPOC, biracial person of color, who identifies as AA, African American. I identify as African American. I am an LDA, and those are quite rare as well. Thank goodness, because it's really harmful. So LDA stands for late discovery adoptee, and that is really dangerous and detrimental. I firmly believe there is very little in the world that is more dangerous than family secrets and lies. And there is nothing worse than having a child who feels alienated, like they can't trust anyone. And isn't it interesting how even when we're adults, everyone always calls adoptees the child? I'm 42. I'm still the adopted child. So, anyways, so why now? So I'm waiting on DNA results. I think I should have my ancestry results soon. Just talking about it makes my palms sweat. I look really calm and cool, but I feel very anxious. I have a therapist who I'm going to do EMDR with to work through this. And if I find my first family, she'll work with us as well. And I'm very thankful for some outside help. Doctors don't treat themselves. So even though I have a lot of mental health information, I'm very mental health informed, I can't do this by myself. So what was going on? So I found out at 32 that I was adopted quite by accident. Really, really by accident. I found out at 32 that I was adopted, and people are like, oh, well, why didn't you search for your family? And by the way, please don't ask adoptees that. It's very rude. It's like asking people, what are you? Also, please don't ask people that. That's also very rude. It's just rude. Even if you're a person of color asking another person of color, it makes me feel like an animal, like a dog or something. And it makes me feel like I don't belong here. So, why didn't I start? Well, I did search a little bit, but gosh, it couldn't have come at a worse time for me. So, first, let me tell you what was going on at the time when I found out. So, I had recently, I say recently, in the last 5 to 6 months, left a very, very physically abusive husband. So we were separated. I had started seeing somebody that I really liked, and he was having an affair, and the woman that he was having an affair with came to his place while we were there asleep, and he allowed her to come into the house to tell me that they had been sleeping together. Very traumatic. And though that is like 10 years ago, it still is mildly traumatic for me. I was really into the guy, and that was really hurtful. I don't know of anybody who really had a situation similar to that. So just found out, left an abusive relationship, just found out my guy was cheating on me. My transmission went out in my car. My whole time in the military was an uphill battle. I don't talk about being in the military much because it's not really something I'm very proud of. But so I was in the military, full-time National Guard, which is a whole different animal. So they were in the process of administratively separating me. So I had been getting a really good check, so I was going from that to nothing. So abusive relationship, cheating relationship, getting removed from the military, transmission went out on my car. Okay, then I got a message on Facebook from a woman who was a grade school friend of my adoptive mother, and she said, I know you don't know me, but I remember when your mother and father adopted you. What a special time that was. And I attempted to ignore it. I called my dad's mother, who chose to continue to perpetuate the lie. Now, most people are like, how did you not know that you weren't adopted? I was adopted by a white family, but my adopted father's mother is Native American. If I showed you a picture, she's pretty dark Native American. She wore short hair and always wore curly perm. My mother's father was also Native American, and I have a picture of me sitting on his lap, and he was actually darker than I was when I was a baby. So, and still, we convince ourselves of what we want to convince ourselves of. So up until I was 14, in my mind, I was white. Then I found out by accident, we won't tell that story. So at 14, I found out that I was biracial, that I was half black. And we're not going to tell that story right now because there's not time for it. So At this point, I know that I don't know my father, but I thought that my adoptive mother was my real mother. And her sister had kind of outed her, but still, she still had a story for that. She had lied to me, major lies on 3 different occasions. So this woman emailed me on Facebook. I called my adoptive father's mother, so my adoptive grandmother, and told her what had happened. She remembered the woman. She was like, "Oh, honey, never mind that. Just ignore her. She was always jealous. She always wanted your dad, anyways," which was what my adoptive mother had always said. So the lie continues, right? So I just kind of ignored it. She emailed me again and said almost the exact same thing. "Hey, I know you don't know me, but I remember when your mother and father adopted you. What a special time that was, blah, blah, blah." So I responded back to her. I'm like, gee, thank you for being so insensitive. This is the first time I've heard that I'm adopted. Thanks for that. I wasn't prepared to speak to my adoptive mother about it, but the woman had the nerve to email me back and said, "Oh, you stinker." That's the word she used. "You had me believing that." She was like, "Had me believing that you didn't know when you did know." So apparently she talked to my A mom, and my A mom told her that I knew that I was adopted. So I called my A mom's sister, adopted mother, my A mom's sister, and asked her. My A mom had been in prison for 10 years for drinking and driving and killing somebody. And my A aunt built her a place on her land. And so she had gotten out of prison and she was living on her land. And I said, "Is she out?" She said, "Yeah, she's out." I was like, I told her what had happened. I said, "Is she in a frame of mind to have this discussion?" She said, "Yeah, she is." And she gave me her number. So I called her. And she's like, "Oh, honey." We're Southern, we're from Texas. So she tried to do the, "Oh, hey, honey." I was like, "No, we're not doing that." I was like, "I got a message from Louise." "Oh, really? What did she say?" Now, and she knew good and well what had happened. And I said, she said, "I'm adopted and I want to know." And she, "Oh, honey, never mind that." I said, "No, it's not never mind that. I want to know." And when I say her personality changed, it just changed at the drop of a dime. And a lot of adoptees will say this, that when they try to approach their A families, that they get real nasty when we try to talk about the adoption itself. And we won't even talk about all the reasons why, but it is a common thing. And so she says to me, "Well, fine. What do you want to know then?" I was like, "I want to know, am I adopted or am I your child?" She said, "Fine, fine. You're adopted. What else do you want to know? What do you want from me?" I was like, and I commented in a group, it was like getting kicked in the stomach by a horse. I had a lot of trauma. A lot of trauma up to this point. She had put me out when I was 14 because she was sleeping with my boyfriend, and I told her boyfriend she was sleeping with my boyfriend. So we had a lot of trauma up to this point. And honestly, to date, that was the most traumatic thing she had ever said to me. I asked her for any information that she had. So, wow, some of it that she said was true. I know from one of my DNA, one of my family tree DNA came back, and I am almost 50% Italian. So my first mother was probably a pure Italian. She's like 3% Polish, majority Italian. And so she told me that, and that my first father was in the Navy, which is highly likely because I was born in Dallas, and apparently there was a naval base there. So I called a lot of, so this is 10 years ago, so 2012. The internet wasn't what it was, and searching wasn't as easy as it was. And I called all the adoption agencies in Dallas, and I called the Baptist hospital where I was supposedly born, and Basically, the adoption agency told me the adoption agencies that I talked to told me adoption agencies come and go, and that the odds of me finding my first family were next to nothing, and the only way that I would probably find them is if they were looking for me. And because I had so much going on in my life at the time, I think it's understandable why I didn't begin that journey then. I really just needed time to heal from the other traumas before I could even find the strength in me to address this trauma. So that's where I'm at right now. I am so thankful that I have done all the work that I have up until this point, because if I hadn't, I'm not really sure what condition I would be in right now. I'm 100% certain that if emotions could kill me, that they would have at that time. I'm surprised that I wasn't catatonic from the amount of trauma, the complex trauma. So complex is more than one complex trauma that I had going on at that time. So what's the point of all of this? The point is, no matter what you're going through, and no matter what it feels like you're going through, I know you want to stop and turn around, but the only way out is to go through. Life is cyclical. It is a circle, and this too will pass. It will. But you have to stick to your guns and keep moving forward. You have to do the things for yourself that you know that you need to do for yourself. You need to eat healthy. You need to get regular exercise. You need to try your best to foster and maintain healthy relationships. You have to do all the things that you know you need to do, and you will come out on the other side. So I have my very high highs and I have my very low lows, but I have an amazing support system. I have all of you out there. So I hope that just sharing this with you helps you know that you're not alone. Whatever it is that you're going through, you're not alone. That if I can do it, you can do it. There's nothing more special about me than you. If I can do it, you can do it. So no matter what you're going through, you're going to make it. You're going to be okay. Big hugs. Sending you love, light, peace, and joy. Until next time, Kamina the Coach. I'm out.